Bundy on Indiana. It is Sunday the 16th of April 2023 for the Indiana Assembly training, and we will start with a moment to honor our Creator. Okay, so we do have the lag time issues, but we'll go as we can. All right, so we will go ahead and get things going here. Again, I don't need to be that. I can minimize that a little more. Okay. All right, here we go. The Bivens decision. Excuse me. Right. Okay. This is a public meeting. Anyone in this meeting claiming any form of U.S. citizenship or employment with any federal agency is now, for the next segment of this gathering, new member orientation class invited to either declare your presence and business here, or we ask you to leave the class at this time. I will repeat, if you are a U.S. citizen or an undeclared federal agent, please raise your hands or post in the comment or vacate our gathering. For the third time and final time, this is notice that if you don't respond appropriately to this Bivens decision declaration immediately, you are made fully liable for your lack of disclosure, and any so-called evidence that you collect is tainted and inadmissible. No one can attend any of our meetings in secret or in private without answering to a roll call or without announcing or declaring their presence. Okay, so there's that lag. Okay, so we'll go ahead and keep going. All right, so this is week 5, and we're going to discuss self-governance, de jure versus de facto, and importance of words. So, a summary of the previous training was that the 4 pillars recommended committees, this is the question on the final knowledge review, the 4 pillars: General Assembly, Jural Assembly, International Business Assembly, Community Response Team Assembly, which is the militia. Okay? This is so when you're out in the public, it is a community response team. That is not a lie in any way, shape, or form, and that's exactly what's being done. It's because of how they've corrupted the English language and changed the energies attached to the word militia. All right, and that's unfortunate, but that's how it's going to have to be. All right, and Indiana Assembly officers at the state and county level. All right, de facto versus de jure, self-governance and how it applies to you. At the end of the session, we'll ask you for discussion on the topic. Self-governance training call, Sundays most weeks. And if you're already, you should be receiving the email, so an email goes out with the link details. And there's also, you can go to this link for the open training calls. And this is the Federation site, not the Indiana site. So if you have questions on it, it's a Federation site. All right, so de facto versus de jure. It takes much study, much learning, much self-discipline to start changing your mindset. We have been indoctrinated and mind-controlled our entire lives. Even those of us who have been mostly alert and awake to the deception. I've always felt like I've been completely awake to what has been going on. I knew something. Well, I mean, I wasn't completely awake because I didn't know what all was going on, but at least I knew that there was something going on because it just didn't add up. We're learning to operate in the de jure government, our actual government, every day by practicing it. Okay? The more we practice that reality, the more we bring others into truth. Every time you go to your public servants and not allow them to bully you, it is bringing them into the de jure reality. It takes a bit of time to get there, but you will get there peacefully and lawfully. We stand our ground and operate in the de jure reality, not the de facto fiction. We, the people, are the ones we've been waiting for to save our lives, our country, and the world. And take note, the people that are supporting the state assemblies and the federation are not the de facto. Okay, so do not decide you're going to try and assert all of this that you should be applying to them. Do not try to apply it here. It does not work. Okay? So remember that. This is not where you're going to assert to think that because it's great that you're declaring that you're an American state national. Yes, but have you recorded it? But then have you recorded it and published it? Those are the requirements. It has to also be published. Then you present to the assembly. You present those documents to the assembly to verify that you have done the status correction. You don't just get to say, well, here's the cover page. That's all you get. No photo, no identity verification. You have to verify who you are. We're evidence-based here. We are not, if you want that kind of support, there are district and municipal assemblies out there. And we have gone over that in previous calls as well, that you do have 3 choices. Okay. Oop. All right. The articles on self-governance. The first choices that come readily to mind once you realize that you are a slave or at best an indentured servant are not comforting at all. 1, continued patronage and enslavement, suicidal armed insurrection, or its fight. But there's also a 4th choice. These are all the choices that they always think that's all you have available to you. You either bend the knee and do what they want and pay everything you have, give everything to them, or you create some sort of a battle of some form. But you can self-govern yourself. Okay? Self-govern yourself. And here are 2 articles that goes deeper into that are by Anna. Article 2540 and 2541, self-governance, and Article 2508, self-governance for the rest of us. Self-governance, on one hand, it's a very simple concept. On the other hand, putting it to use is a great big subject. This is the part where many of us, and even those of us that have been walking this walk for a while, it's still trying, there's still programming, still triggers that have to come up as to reminding us that we have to actually walk it. That's practice it daily, being in it. And that's where we have to remind ourselves it's not just about the paperwork and then go bully people. That is not how that works. First, we need to know exactly what self-governance is. We need to realize that words and their definitions are extremely important. Not only the words are important, but how we construct sentences. Our reflection and the body language that goes with the words. It's a package deal. Okay? Body language is important. That's why I have a hard time with doing cell phone calls unless I really know that one and know their voice. Okay? I will not do a cell phone call with just anybody because that is where it is real easy to lie. Okay? I look at people face to face. Even though it may be on a Zoom, it's still we look at each other because there's a lot that you're not saying that's just as full and powerful as what you are saying, if not more so. Okay? So, and I know that because of that, it's real easy to manipulate in the ear, using the right tone of voice to make someone feel sorry for you or tell you a long sob story to try and get, or they want to become demanding and want to assert the attitude and the energies that they should be asserting on the de facto. They try to assert here. And that is not, you don't even know how to walk yourself. You still don't even know, you're still not even clear on your own name, and you want to try and now assert who you are. And you want to try and do that with the de jure, who's evidence-based. Okay? Go back to the de facto if you want to play those games. Again, you have three choices: the land and soil jurisdiction assemblies, district, or municipal assemblies. Then you learn that commonly used words are redefined in statutes, codes, and in admiralty maritime jurisdiction courts. If you notice, that's why they had the big thing about identifying what what types of info there are, whether it's mal or different terms like that, right? And now that three-letter alphabet agency that is similar to Facebook has decided that they now have authority to define words, that they are declaring as certain trigger words. No, that's not even in their job description. Okay. So how do we get an understanding of self-governance? Let's break the phrase down. Okay, so note the following is an example of how to research a line of thought or subject. Okay, this is how to do this process. And it's an internal process. Okay? And at some point in time, you have to do the homework. You have to do this for it to get in. Nobody can do this for you. All right, so when you look at the word self, definitions: an individual's typical or temporary character or behavior. A second definition: the union of elements such as body, emotions, thoughts, and sensations that constitute the individuality and identity of a person. And the 4A description that was provided is the entire person of an individual. Okay, so you see here where the second description encapsulates, embodies a person through their body, emotions, thoughts, and sensations, is all they all create the constitution of the individual and the identity of a person. Okay? And then that entire person is of an individual. Now we know a person as human, individual, man, a character or part in or as if in a play, and then it's used as a guise. Or one of the three modes of being in the Trinitarian Godhead as understood by Christians. 3 persons in one, right? The body of a human being, also the body and clothing, unlawful search of the person, the personality of a human being, self. But then there's also one, such as a human being, a partnership, or a corporation that is recognized by law as the subject of rights and duties. In person is in one's bodily presence. People, a state, as the people of the state of New York, such as Indiana, a nation in its collective and political capacity. And there's the code reference. Person is not the singular of people. People is, however, both singular and plural. Okay? A lot of things they didn't teach you in grammar and in English classes. Language arts, whatever term they used, they didn't include this. Okay. Autonomy. The quality or state of being, self-governing especially, the right of self-government. Self-directing freedom and especially moral independence, personal autonomy, a self-governing state. We have a recognized right of self-determination. Okay, so governance, the act or process of governing or overseeing the control and direction of something, such as a country or an organization or a government. So, what does self-governance mean to you? So, when you come back to when you are listening to this, because I know so many of you have varied schedules, and the weather is crazy in different places, and we all have to focus on things that we have to deal with that are important for life as well. So when you have an opportunity to listen to the video, come back to the presentation here, post in your comment, lead with what county you're on, and then and that's what county. Okay, many want to misunderstand and don't want to put what county on Indiana that they call home. Okay, put what county you call home. Stop hiding. Okay, present yourself. Be upfront. Okay, so put in your comment. You can just put your county and then put your description. Answer that. What does self-governance mean to you? Okay. At this point, and then wait until we get to the so pause the video here, go in and go to the comments. I'll give you a moment, put in what self-governance. If you need to go ahead and actually pause it. Okay, so what does self-governance mean to you? Then at the end, come back and see if that stays the same, or did it change your concept at that point. Okay. All right, so self-control over the aspects of your life. That's the big key here is. So what is self-governance? Self-governance is self-control over the aspects of your life. Okay, so we pause back there. Right? So now this will be on the knowledge quiz, but you know, obviously that's the answer. But if you want to elaborate and get a little bit more in detail that would give like an illustration that would say that you got it, right? Okay. All right. So let's see. Okay. All right. So now we're going to go through the preambles. All right. So the preamble of the United States Constitution, right? We, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity, do ordain and establish this Constitution for the United States of America. Okay? So they're clearly stating who it is. This is we, the people of the United States. These are the people that are the employees that are supporting the United States to provide the services So the contract is between the people that are the employees providing the service and those that are, it is providing the services for the United States of America. And that is where it's ending, is who the authority is with, okay? And what's it about? It is clearly describing, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, not domestic terrorism, domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, not demoralize the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity, our children, and our moving life forward. Do ordain and establish this Constitution. So there is ordaining it and establishing the Constitution. It embodies what their role is, and the agreement, the contract between the employees that are the people of the United States serving the roles to provide the services, that is providing the services for, on behalf of the United States of America. Okay? Clearly states it right there. Very succinct. Very clear. And who the parties are and what the agreement is. Okay? Here is the 1816 preamble for Indiana. We, the representatives of the people of the territory of Indiana, because that is in the correct jurisdiction at the time, because it went into a territorial, or no, because that's the original agreement. So Indiana here is agreeing on the territory of Indiana. So now it's saying it's got the lowercase people. So it could be that they're stepping up to support, so they're covering. So we're trying to get in the mindset of that time frame too, right? Okay, so we, the representatives of the people of the territory of Indiana, in convention meet. Okay, so they came together, met. In convention met. A convention. They vented. They come together to vent. To bring it all forward but they're coming together to bring it all forward. They came together to discuss it, to agree on this, okay? And they met at Cordon. So they're getting even more detailed about the layer of information as to what this means to them. And they did it on Monday the 10th of June in the year of our Lord, 1816. So they came together on June 10th of 1816 for the convention. And of the independence of the United States, the 40th. So it's the 40th year of the independence of the United States. Okay. Having the right of admission into the general government. So that kind of seems a little, I'm not saying that is definitely it, but it seems like kind of pulling it into the territory, because they're saying the independence of the United States. The United States is the employees actually providing the service. They're saying here that they've gained independence. Those employees gained independence. The ones contracted to provide the service gained independence. Having the right of admission into the general government, as a member of the Union consistent with the Constitution of the United States, the ordinance of Congress of 1787, okay, 1787 is the one they're using, not 1776, in the law of Congress, entitled An Act to Enable the People of the Indiana Territory to Form a Constitution and State Government, and for the admission of such state into the Union, on an equal footing with the original states. Okay, so here's that twist. They want equal footing with the original states. Okay, in order to establish justice. Now, this is where they're saying they're willing to follow the commitment. Not sure when they felt they gained independence from that point, but okay, so in order to establish justice, promote the welfare, doesn't say general welfare, it just says the welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty. Where is in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice. Oh, they included establish justice. They did not include in order to form a more perfect union, unless they're using that to give them equal footing. But they do not have ensure domestic tranquility. They do not have provide for the common defense. They have promote the welfare, but not the general public. So they're saying they're only promoting their welfare and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity. That's what they're saying right there. Do ordain and establish the following constitution or form of government, and do mutually agree with each other to form ourselves into a free and independent state by the name of the state of Indiana. Okay, so they've stepped up into a state. Okay, and now that is the next process, is to create the upper lowercase state of Indiana. Okay. And that's what we have to come back to, because they're the ones that are going to be providing the service. It's the municipal that jumped in to try and hijack everything. They subcontracted out. Okay, so we're just trying to get back to all original, right? So that we can at least start there and get back to originals. All right. Now, that's the 1816 preamble for state of Indiana. There are two additional preambles. 1851 preamble and a amended 2018 preamble. 1851, to the end is all capped. Then back to upper lowercase, that justice be established, public order maintained. They're going to establish the justice. They're not going to, they're going to establish justice. Public order maintained. That's not ensuring domestic tranquility. That's public order maintained. And liberty perpetuated, the people, the all caps people of the state of Indiana. So this is where they now convert all those employees into the all capped state of Indiana. Grateful to the all capped Almighty God for the free exercise right to choose our own form of government, do ordain this. Now it's an all caps constitution. It is no longer an upper lowercase constitution. But then they amended it in 2018. Okay, while they're calling all of their residents part of their part of their employee, part of the employee group, they didn't take it to the people to do this vote. They just amended it in 2018. This stayed in caps to the end, that justice be established, public order maintained, and liberty perpetuated. So they had to remove "and liberty perpetuated" the people of the state of Indiana. They had to say liberty perpetuated. It has to be for all, right? We, though, they put in all caps, mean referring to them now, the employees, the all caps. Now they're switching themselves, the upper lowercase people of the state of Indiana, upper lowercase. But now it's italicized. People and state of Indiana is italicized. But it's in a form taking it back to the territorial. However, still putting "grateful to Almighty God" in all caps for the free exercise of the right to choose our own form of government, do ordain this. And then they revert the word Constitution back to upper lowercase and in parentheses. Okay, so see how they're still, albeit they have made changes. They were making changes, bringing it back into more of the original territorial form, right? In essence, they're still holding that mix, right? They're still holding that mix. So we talk about sovereignty, but do you know why we have sovereignty? We have God-given, unalienable rights. No man can remove without our consent. You're born on the free land. You're a living being, a creation of something greater than us. And read the Paris Treaty. His Britannic Majesty acknowledges the said United States, vis-a-vis New Hampshire, Massachusetts Bay, Rhode Island, and Providence Plantations, Connecticut, New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Maryland, Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina, and Georgia, to be free, sovereign, and independent states, that he treats with them as such, and for him, his heirs and successors, relinquishes all claims to the government, propriety, and territorial rights of the same, and every part thereof. Okay, so it's stating right here, you have to relinquish all claims to the government, propriety, and territorial rights of the same, and every part thereof. There's no dancing. Okay, so what language? Something to make note of. There are 3 basic versions of English in America. There's common or colloquial English, and that's what we use right now. Then there's slang, something we hear regularly. Then there's legal English, i.e. statutory definition of person, was changed in 1871 to be interchangeable with corporation. If you've ever been in the corporate courts or read congressional acts, they use common words we are familiar with in ways that are not familiar to us, and that is on purpose, often having opposite meanings. So here is a link so that you can be able to start maintaining this to do your research. Here's Black's Law 4th edition. This is what Black's Law is, what the de facto uses in the legal court system. Here's a link for the Bouvier 6th edition. This is what we're using in common law jurisdiction. Land and Soil for common law, and Bouvier. I want to say yes. Okay, so, and here's a resource then that regardless multiple dictionaries, because it's important to look at various dictionaries to see how many stay consistent with the definition, or do they somehow alter it slightly. Okay, and you'll see that there are various types. All right, so here I have been familiar with the acronym for fear of being that false experience that appears real. Okay, it's appearing real, but it's a false experience. It hasn't even occurred. So, here are two other ways we can look at it. We can either forget everything and run, or we can stand and face everything and rise. So I like that option. I'm choosing to face everything and rise. Because I'm not hiding. I'm not going to forget about it all and just let it happen. And I'm not running away. It's time to face it. The quickest way to bring it to an end is to face it and go through it so you can rise. Okay, fear. The difference between between buffalo and cattle and how they behave when they sense a storm coming. Buffalo run into the storm to get through it faster. Cattle run from the storm and then exhaust themselves just to still end up in the storm anyway. So, as self-governing people, we're choosing to not sit on the sidelines of life. Nor do we go bullying those that are on the de jure when you need to take that to the de facto where it belongs. Okay, so self-governance is not disorderly or disruptive. It's not founded on fear and self-interest or personal gain. Self-interest would be you only want to be on a call long enough to, hopefully I'm going to touch a topic that you specifically are working on right now that's just for you, regardless of anything else. Even if it means hijacking a call. Self-governance is providing for ourselves and our families, being responsible, keeping our own house in order. This includes taking an active interest in our neighborhood. This is where our CERT groups or our CERT teams come in play, right? Because taking an active part in the neighborhood. Out of necessity, we're populating our state first and county second. Self-governance is behaving in honor. Okay, this is not like the employees that you see today. The employees you see today have no respect for their employer. They have no respect for the fact that they're being paid tax dollars, and they provide shabby work if they even do the work. Okay? It's time to change all that. It's time to take a higher knowledge of you're being that one to help support everyone else. This is not about just for you to get some power. Okay? It's behaving in honor. There's a difference. If you want to behave like that, of bullying others but want to be in lead roles, go find that at a district and municipal assembly. It's not happening here. Self-governance is behaving in honor. You can be peaceful and still be able to present yourself correctly. Don't think you're going to bully and not present yourself. That doesn't get you anywhere. There is a difference. It's about how you show up. Knowing who you are. That takes time. Self-discipline and self-control. Self-discipline and self-control. It takes time. But you have to start disciplining yourself and bring yourself in control. And that means stop going with the lies. Just because you don't have the time to get involved with it right now, or you don't want to be, there's too much going on right now. You're afraid they may think that you're being upset. You don't want to be seen as though you're being unpeaceful. Standing up for yourself and presenting that is not going to be acceptable is perfectly correct to do. Being a butthead and screaming and demanding, you mean I have to prove myself? You would turn over a photo ID to an officer in a heartbeat. Right? Present yourself appropriately. Okay? Self-discipline and self-control. And it takes time, but you have to do the practice. It's a practice, a daily practice. Okay, so the self-governing governance call, Step Into Your Destiny, and then it'll have link details here, other training calls there as well. Okay, so next class, download the Black Laws Dictionary and Bouvier. Start looking up legal definitions of commonly used words to appreciate the importance of paying closer attention to words and language. Review the articles on self-governance that have been provided above, and think about self-governance in respect to you. Okay? Alright, so status correction services and tools. So here's the link if you want a free 30-minute consult with myself, the Assembly State Coordinator, Lead Recording Secretary. And please note, although I'm as an American State National, that is so that I can be able to be that liaison between the Federation, the American States Assembly, and you, the people on the land of Indiana. But I'm fully armored up, and I've been on a public record, and I'm on the LRO public record as well. I'm fully armored up, so please don't misunderstand and think I've only presented 1779 declaration, 2 witness testimonies, and birth certificate. Okay? Please don't assume that. Just because it has American State National right now. Okay? Alright, so here's the link to be able to do a free 30-minute consult with me for questions to get some clarity, support, questions with paperwork, things like that. If you have not presented yet and you want consult on how to get out of taxes and the process and things like that, I'm not going to go into that with you. I'm not going to go into how to get you out of taxes. I'm not going to go into the process of how to get you out of the debt redemption process. I'm not going to go through how to get you out of courts. Okay? You have to declare, record, and publish your status. For any of that to work, you have no standing to use any of that without correcting your status. Okay? This is about actually doing some work on your part. This is not like in school. You're not going to get away with no homework. It'll become relevant. It'll be in your face. The parts that you haven't completed on the homework of what you need to work with. When you put the cart before the horse, like trying to bully force a auto plate, an ASN auto plate that's specifically to be numbered, for your county, but you haven't presented the first lick of piece of paper to the assembly to present who you are, but yet you just want to just demand that accept you because I said so. No, that's not how that works. You're welcome to go to district and municipal assembly, and they'll provide that allow you to do that. They'll allow you to do that happily. They'll smile and grin for you. Okay? So, armored up status correction documents does not include the recording, witnessing, notarizing, publishing, or the credentials. So, you have your DIY templates. Okay? So, many of you that are on this call, you've because it's YouTube, it's possibly that you've at least connected in with the assembly to send an email to say, hey, I'm out here. But you have not presented who you are. We haven't, even if we have had a consult together, but you still haven't presented yourself with your paperwork. You're not, that you have no standing. You have to present that that you've done it. Okay? If you want the assembly to issue that to you. If you want it just to be willy-nilly just because you said so, go get the template for the generic one and go get a plate printed anywhere. The Federation website does offer the free generic American State National plates, but it doesn't have Indiana on it. If you want it to say Indiana, you have to present yourself as an Indiana that has Indianian that has corrected their status to get an Indiana plate. Okay? Be clear on that. You don't get to bully the rules just because you want to stand firm now and assert that you're an American. Put that on the de facto where that belongs. Our responsibility and duty, there's a higher role here at the moment. And it's across the board with everybody. You're not any different than anybody else. Everybody else has at least had to present their 1779 two witness testimonies and birth certificate to present themselves. Okay, so if you wanted to move forward with the 928 bundle, this is so that you can get armored up because most likely you've done your 1779 two witness testimonies and birth certificate. Again, the birth certificate, you don't have to order a new one. It doesn't have to be certified. It doesn't have to be authenticated. It just has to be something that is something that actually documents the details, the recording of your birth. Okay? Because we're not stating to get a new birth certificate at this point because they issue a new bond number and we're trying not to help support them. Right? Okay, so 928s, there are 6 documents to that. That does not mean that you get to pick and choose. They're in the order that they're in for a reason. It's not about just to pick and choose which document of the bundle you want to include. It's called the 928 bundle because it is the entire bundle. The deed of reconveyance gives the standing for all of it. And then the paramount claim brings you all the way back, not to just before you were born, but even before you were in your mother's womb. Okay? So it's not about a pick and choose. You can. But it has power when it's in the entire bundle because that's the support system for it. The cancel of prior power of attorneys does no good if you don't have the standing that stated that you are living on the land. The cancel of prior power of attorneys does you no good if you haven't done the certificate of assumed name that gives you the authority that even states that you have that authority to even do anything with it. You haven't then done the acts of expatriation for each of the all caps names so that if you need to act on behalf in those names to be able to do that for the cancel of prior power of attorneys in the first place. You can't do the Mandatory Foreign Sovereign Immunities Act because you haven't done the deed. Or the certificate of assumed name, or the acts of expatriation, or the cancel prior power of attorneys that are the stepping stones to get to that Mandatory Foreign Sovereign Immunities Act. And it's that paramount claim of the life then that also not only takes you back to your birth, but takes you back to even before you were born. There's a purpose for the whole bundle. Then there's the Common Carry Declaration and Declaration of Political Status. Many think that if they just get that Declaration of Political Status notarized and presented, that that's all they have to do. No. The Declaration of Political Status includes a cover letter. The instructions for the Declaration of Political Status states that it needs to have an embossed seal. If you're going to a public notary and they do not have an embossed seal, because many just are just not using it anymore, just because they don't want the expense of it, because the de facto courts don't accept, they don't want that crimped seal, so they're not using it. They just haven't told anybody that they're just not using it. Okay. And they're using the excuse because each of the notaries are taking it on their own. Well, nobody's ever, they're not using it anymore, so why put that expense out there? I'm just saving costs, right? Doesn't mean that, okay, so if you're using a public notary and they did not have an embosser, then you'll need to send it to me so that I can put the assembly seal embosser on it. I can send it back, and then you send it with the cover letter. And you're sending it registered mail. You're dating it the date that you're mailing it. You're autographing it, including your own wet ink, bicolon, first, full, middle, last name, copyright symbol. No thumbprint. No need for a notary. Make a copy of both. Okay, you're sending one to U.S. Secretary of State Blinken and one to the Secretary of State for your birth state. If it's Indiana, it is now Diego Morales. Okay? And then you're making a copy before you put it in the envelope, so you've got a copy of what date and that you autographed it and everything and what you sent. And then you'll email me a copy of the Declaration of Political Status, the 2 cover letters, and your proof of mailing. Note, proof of mailing is not a picture of the envelope. That cost as extra in ink to print a copy of that envelope. And I am so utterly confused as to how these postal workers have allowed you to take a picture of a registered mail envelope after they've done all their stamping on it and everything and gave it back to you to allow you to take a picture of it. It amazes me. That is not the registered mail process. But a copy of that the white receipt that has their stamp and printed details, the postage receipt that has the receipt that puts that registered mail or certified mail number on there, says where it's going, that's proof of mailing. Okay? I don't need a picture of the envelope. And a picture of the envelope with the stamp is not proving that you sent it either. Postage stamps is no form of tracking. Because you're serving notice. You're serving notice. You're not just sending out communications to someone. Okay, then there's the fee schedule. And again, here's all the free DIY templates right out there on the American States Assembly website. Call it TASA. And it's the Federation's website. These are the Federation approved templates. IRS, there's 3 articles there to give you support with IRS. Okay, don't just jump to the revocation templates. Okay, you need to read all of that because there are follow-up steps to follow up afterwards with that. And there are 2 letters that are sent, one to DC, one to New York. It's not a pick one. You send to both. Okay, and you can send theirs certified mail, but you still get a copy of the receipt. Now, you're going to do the green card. You don't have to wait for the green card to come back to send me, because you will have proof of postage you'll have your green and white receipt that will have the postage stamp details on it. You'll have your paid receipt, right? Then when you get your green card, if you do, because some may not send that green card back. Don't be surprised if you don't get one back. They're not going to automatically do it. Okay? What I can tell you, though, too, is some of the postal carriers don't always actually get someone to sign before, and they'll, like I had an envelope left yesterday that they didn't want to come up to the door to get me to sign for it, so they just stuck it in the box for me hoping that I was going to be honorable and sign it and send it back through to get it back to that one. That's not that they're supposed. The whole point of that certified mail process is to get that, and then they take the card at the time. It is what it is. Um, but I'm just saying that the green card may or may not get back. Okay, so that's where that proof of postage paid for the sending, that is a USPS mailing, or if you did go to UPS to mail for whatever reason, you would still have that postage paid receipt and identifies the tracking number, where it was sent, that detail. That's proof of sending, mailing. You're serving notice. Okay, then of course there's the article on steps for afterwards. Okay, voter registration. You're going to want to cancel voter registration everywhere you have registered. Excuse me, you'll have to look up if you've registered in other states. But if for Indiana, here's the actual form for Indiana. Yes, it is a form. Fill it out. I would not fill out the right side, because they're trying to hope you're gonna give them more information. I put NA and do your autograph in your own wet ink. Do your part in blue ink, all of it in blue ink, and in your autograph, use the wet ink by : first, full, middle, last, copyright symbol. And do not give them any future information. Don't give them the list of other names that you've used. Okay? So there is that form. And then you'll want to follow up. So you can either mail that to them, or you can walk it in the door. However you feel more comfortable with it. You don't need to send me a separate email. Can I go ahead and walk it in the door? Yes, you can walk it in the door if you'd like to walk it in the door. You're more than welcome to. And then if you walk it in the door, they'll have a stamp on it saying received and that kind of stuff. Keep a copy for your records, obviously, and then send me a copy. But still then go over to their portal. Give them some time for it to catch up, for them to do their job, right? But then you'll go here to the link to their portal to check your status, and do that for each state, because each state has their own voter checking place to check the status. And then take a screenshot of that and email it. And if you were previous military, there's a severance letter. If you didn't want to deal with the templates themselves, but you're fine with giving the details for it to go through a generator to create the document for it, at those links at TASA there, the American States Assembly has a link also for a document generator for each one, and there's a fee for the packages. Or if you are wanting support with preparing the actual documents and supporting that, then you have two options. There's a physical copy mailed to you, where it's actually printed and including all your envelopes ready for your letters to go out, and that's mailed to you. Or there's an e-document where that's emailed to you. Now both will be, even on the printed, for the physically printed and mailed to you one, a review email will be sent to you for you to review it, to check it. Okay, so a review by you is requested prior to printing. So if you're interested in that, you can go to the link here. Also, if you have questions about the document generator, you're going to go here. When you're in the LRO, you can go to the fee tab and do drop down, and I think it says other, or no, you don't want to select other, because I wonder, let's see. Oh, I can't do a screen share at the moment for that, or I don't want it to show that, but let's see. You can go to the store. I think there's even a link out there on I'm sure there is a link out there on the TASA site to the store. If it's not there, it's on the 50 state site for the store. But it's also, if you're in the document sends you to the document generator, it may send you into the store aspect of it there as well. And I think it's ASN, it's asnsecure.com is the store, I want to say, is website. And that's where you can get, if you don't want to go through all this and present to the Indiana Assembly, but you want an American State National auto plate, you can go there and order one that is just a generic plate, but it's not going to have Indiana on it. Okay? You're welcome to do that, to get a general plate like that. But if you want it to have Indiana on it, you have to you don't have to present all of this, but to get a plate or to purchase the debt redemption bundle. But you will have to present at least the 1779 declaration and the 2 witness testimonies and birth certificate. Okay? You still have to present that. There's no getting around that. You still have to verify who you are. You're not going to just get it to say Indiana on there. When you have not presented who you are, it's not going to work that way. But like I said, you're welcome to one that doesn't have Indiana on it, and that's where you can go to be able to get one that doesn't have Indiana on it. Okay, so now the document, that's all dealing with the document. So you can either go to a public notary, because in the document generators and the template, you have the option. You can go to a state of state public notary, or you can use the Assembly Recording Secretary. It does list an option for Assembly Public Notary, but at this point in time, I'm not recommending that option. At this point in time, I'm saying Assembly Recording Secretary. Don't just assume, okay? Assembly Recording Secretary is always going to be your first option if you're not going to use a state of state public notary. Okay? If you're going to use a state of state public notary, there's no recording fee. And what is the recording? The recording is me witnessing you autograph it, and then the notarizing aspect. That's putting the seal on it and stuff. For the one that's notarizing, okay? It's not the publishing details, but it's for the notarizing. Just like if you went to a state of state notary, they've got a notary stamp, right? Well, we have Assembly Recording Secretary that stamps for my autograph in this, okay? And so that's where the Assembly Recording Secretary stamp goes, and then there's a publishing stamp detail that goes at the top. Okay, so if you're going to a state of state public notary, they're going to put their stamp there, but then you still present to the assembly, and now you can, if you're wanting me to publish it on the LRO, can be for $25 if you didn't want to go to a county recorder to record there. But if you did go to a county recorder, and so you had it notarized by a state of state notary, and then you did record at a county recorder's office, you're more than welcome to present. It can be published to the LRO, and no fees for recording or publishing. Okay, does that make sense? Okay, but if you're wanting, if you need them witnessed and notarized by myself as the Assembly Recording Secretary, okay, then there is a fee, because that's providing a service. All right. Okay, because with a state of state notary, they're just putting on each stamp or each one for that they're and they're doing it in that moment because you're standing right there with them. This is a service because it'll follow through within all the assembly seals and details and everything, so that it can be, because then it will be published at this point to the LRO, because you cannot we're not putting all this you can't put all this together and put all the assembly seals and then publish it to the county record. That's not how that's supposed to work. Okay. All right. So again, if you did publish on another public record, which meant then you did already have it notarized, so then there's no recording, no publishing fee. Okay. All right. Here are additional support links to help you in working through moving forward, to be able to help you go forward and armoring up. Okay. and the how it supports you to armor up. Right, okay. And then, of course, here are the additional resources. Audubon Rights, Search Audubon Rights, TASA study course, Federation Training Portal. This is the Sign in America study course. This is supports helping you with separating out for jurisdictions. That is assembly to support your knowledge, to help support moving forward with the assembly and the work of the mission. Here's the Federation Training Portal. Last time I checked, there were two courses online already up there and ready that you can enroll now, and one was just about ready to be uploaded. Also review brief report by Anna, the Declaration of Flag document. Yep, here is the website, asn.secure. That can't be it. I think it's asnsecure.com. And all can be found here. So you'll be able to still get to the store from here as well. All right. So that is the end of this evening's training call. Go ahead and get things a little bit. We'll stop that. Bring this back. I've been a little bit of a shrunk head here. Sorry about that. So it was really small anyway. We'll bring this out a little bit bigger. Okay. So I want to thank you all. And so now the end of the presentation. So give a little bit more of what you know about what self-governance is and what any takeaway points, things that you really, something that you learned that you didn't know. Leave it in the comment and we can all be able to share and discuss together. So I want to thank you all, and please stay safe. I send you all my love and peace. Have a great night.